Students, myself Dr. Mukesh Kumar, your botany mentor. Today we will study Unit 1. Yes, you all know about Unit 1. This is diversity of living organism. In this unit, we will start this chapter 2, Plant Kingdom, and our topic is Plant Life Cycle and Alternation of Generation. It's the last topic of this chapter, but very interesting, very important with respect to your NEET examination, because in 2018, 2019, 2016, you will find direct NCERT line-wise question from this topic, right? In spite of that, so many concepts lie in this topic, which is very important for interpretation of that topic, interpretation of their concept, and summarize their answer. That's why I have selected this very important topic, this plant life cycle and alternation of generation. First of all, when you talk about the plant life cycle, in fact the plant life cycle represents alternation of generation, right? So what diversity we find in life cycle, it is reflected in terms of alternation of generation. So we will go point wise. You will find all your NCERT and important NEET or AIMS type question well cleared after this lecture. Let's start. So first of all, we must know about plant body, right? Whenever we say plant body, either the plant body will haploid, right, or it will be diploid. If it is haploid, single set of chromosome or double set of chromosome, right? So what we find here, that this haploid plant body or diploid plant body will grow up, and they grow with the help of cell division mitosis. Yes, this diploid body, 2N body, will grow up with the help of mitotic cell division, and they will form their body. So what will we find? We will find this haploid body, and this haploid plant body is called gametophyte, right? While this diploid body will grow up after repeated mitotic cell division, and it will form sporophyte. Now see what we have. Now we have two type of body. So if you are talking about plant body of any member, either algae you are talking about, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm or angiosperm, you will find plant body will represent, or they will alter haploid body. This is called gametophyte, or it will alternate or start with 2N body, and this is called a sporophyte plant body. So what happened? This plant body exactly is a complex structure that alternates with haploid, later on diploid, or diploid, later on haploid. So this is the alternation, and that alternation of this plant body, that is alternation of gametophyte and the sporophyte, is called alternation of generation. Right? So in fact this very gametophyte also represents what? Sexual phase, while this will represent asexual phase. Now notice this point, what I am talking about. This gametophyte is going to represent sexual phase. Why? Because this is a gamete producing body. Gametophyte will form gamete, male gamete or female gamete. Gamete are the reproductive cells, right? So it is the sexual stage of this plant body. But when you are talking about the sporophytic plant body, yes, it is 2N, and that very 2N is called asexual phase of the plant body. So what we find? We find here that this plant body alternates both. First, either it will first come haploid, then go to diploid, or come first diploid and alternates with haploid. This is called alternation of generation. Similarly, it also alternates with asexual and sexual phases of plant body, right? So what we find here? We find that this plant body alternates with haploid body, that is gametophyte, sexual phase, with the diploid body, that is sporophyte, asexual stage or phase, right? Now we'll talk about this life cycle. So what happened? When you will move for the life cycle, see, we have plant life cycle. So in very plant life cycle, what we find? We should take an example of angiosperm. That is very much clear and very much common to you all. Remember mustard plant, right, or any angiosperm plants. What will you find? You will find during the life cycle, what happens? They execute germination, that is seed germination. Then they will grow as adult. So grow as adult. Then there will be pollination if you are talking about angiosperm. After pollination, there is fertilization, and after fertilization, again their seed will form. As I told you about the angiosperm plant, a spermatophyte angiosperm. So again this seed will execute this germination, and this will be the cycle. And this you can say life cycle of a plant, as I take an example of angiosperm. Now see this, what happens? As I told you, a plant is there, then it has body, and the body has only two phases in general, that is haploid or diploid, that is gametophyte or sporophyte. So what we'll find here, that there will be repeatedly alternation of what? If you are talking about first in angiosperm, if you are talking about angiosperm, you will start from sporophytic plant body. And that sporophytic plant body will form gametophytic plant body. Again this gametophyte will come to sporophytic plant body, and this is called alternation of generation. Is it clear? So what we find, again I am telling you that this plant life cycle represents alternation of generation, represents how the gametophyte is converted into sporophyte, as you find in the case of the algae bryophyta, homosporous pteridophyta. But when you are talking about heterosporous pteridophyta, gymnosperm and the angiosperm, what we will find? The main plant body is sporophyte, and that sporophyte will form later on gametophyte. Again in gametophyte there will be sexual stages. After fertilization, that will form again the zygote, and the zygote will develop into the sporophyte plant body. So you are finding there is a very good cyclic form, alternation of gametophyte and sporophyte, and this is called alternation of generation. Let's see their very common cyclic pathway. So during this topic study, the several questions may arise. First, very common question is being asked, can you tell me the main plant body of pteridophyta, bryophyta, algae, gymnosperm, angiosperm? These are the very common questions. You will answer this question through this topic discussion. Now, I am talking about alternation of generation. See, alternation of generation, right? In fact, what happened? We find that we have sporophyte, right? And that very sporophyte will form spore mother cell, and that very 2n cell, after reduction division, this is meiosis, what happened? It will form spore, right? And that very spore now forms gametophyte. This gametophyte will form gamete. That gamete will be either of male gamete or female gamete. Later on there is fertilization. It forms zygote, and that very zygote now develop into sporophyte, right? Now see what we have. We have two very important plant body stage. First is the, I have taken here, sporophyte. You all know this sporophyte is 2n, diploid body. Second important phase we have is of haploid, and this is gametophyte, which is n, haploid body. It is diploid body. Now what happened? You are finding starting with the sporophyte comes to gametophyte, and this is repeatedly alternation is there, right? That's why this is also known as what? Metagenesis. So metagenesis, another name of alternation of generation. This is very much common in zoological topics, but you may be asked in botany also. Second, you are finding this is another form, this is another form. We have two phases, right? So, and there is alternation of these two phases. That's why it's also called as heterogenesis. So, mind well, the alternation of generation, yes, it is also known as either metagenesis or heterogenesis, right? Now, this alternation of generation, where you are finding, what you are finding? You are finding that first we have sporophyte, 2n body, diploid body, it is going to form, yes, this spore mother cell. Again, this spore mother cell is 2N. Similarly, see, after that we have very important structure. This is called spore. And there is meiosis, reduction cell division. Now we have only single set of chromosome. So it is N body, yes, it is haploid body. And this spore is again the reproductive cell. Right? Haploid cell, reproductive cell. And that very reproductive cell, haploid reproductive cell, is going to develop into a plant body. And that very plant body is called gametophyte. Gamete producing body is there. Right? So question will come. Gametophyte, yes, in 2018 question was there. Gametophyte develops from, yes, from a spore. Right? Spore is going to develop into gametophyte. It is haploid. It is reproductive cell. It is first cell of gametophytic generation. These are the very important information that may be the part of your NEET examination. Now, these gametophytes will produce gamete after mitosis, and that gamete is again, see, it is N haploid. Now question will come. We have reproductive cell. Spore is also reproductive cell. Gamete is also reproductive cell. Gamete is going to form zygote. Yes, see, we have zygote. This zygote is 2N. And this zygote is the first cell of sporophyte. Question will come. First cell of sporophytic generation, zygote. First cell of gametophytic generation, yes, spore. Spore is reproductive shell. Similarly, this gamete is also reproductive shell. But mind well, this gamete is going to form the sporophytic body, zygote, after fusion. Fusion is required for the formation of zygote. But mind well, this spore is not going to fuse. Yes, this spore is again reproductive cell. And this is going to form gametophyte without fusion. So comparatively question may come. Reproductive cell that forms body after fusion or without fusion. So after fusion, this is gamete, first cell of sporophyte. This is spore without fusion, first cell of gametophyte. Right? Now what we are finding, that again this zygote, which is the first cell of gametophyte, is going to form sporophyte. So you are finding here how there is alternation of generation. Alternation of generation. Now try to locate. Question will come regarding spore. First cell of sporophyte, yes, zygote. First cell of gametophyte, yes, spore. Gametophyte develops from spore. Gametophyte produces, yes, gamete. Similarly, sporophyte develops from, yes, zygote. A sporophyte produces after reduction or meiosis. This is